Hello and welcome to another episode of the BSN podcast. Today is Wednesday, September 7th. Hope everybody's having a good day so far and had a good rest of their day yesterday. It is, in fact, Wednesday, September 7th here today. Coming off another night last night in the world of sports where we had some baseball on. No college football. Obviously, that wrapped up week one on Monday. But today you got a ton of baseball. You got the Mets and the Pirates with a doubleheader and the Yankees and the Twins with a doubleheader. So no complaints today with baseball as you got 4 games on between the Yankees and the Mets. The Yankees starting up a game right now. They actually just fell down 2-0. Don't know how. I just got the update on my phone. So they're down 2-0 right now. And then you have the Yankees game later on tonight as well, 6:30 Eastern. And then you go to the Mets. They got a game right now in which they're dominating. And then they also play another game against the Pirates to close out the 3-game set. So Yankees and Mets, a lot of baseball today. A lot of exciting baseball. Hopefully, the Yankees can continue to kind of stack up a couple wins as they've been winning a little bit more recently. You know, they get the win on Sunday to salvage the final game. They get the win on Monday. You know, obviously yesterday was postponed. Today's not off to a good start, down 2-0 in the first. But if they can find a way to bounce back, win, and take 3 or 4, they're like, all right. A couple wins here and there. Mets are struggling, so that with them, having a lead for the first time in forever, they'll look to bounce back today as well. So it's kind of good to see. Yankees hoping to bounce back, and then for the Met fans out there, Mets look like they bounce back today with a win, and then look to get the final game of the 3-game set against the Pirates. And, now it's tied. It's tied right now in the division, Mets and Braves. So, the division has now come very, very close, and it's a tight race, and it is no longer the Mets up in the division by 5, 6, 7 games. It's now a tied race, and obviously it looks like the Mets are going to win today, but, the Braves are playing very good baseball, and I said it a couple weeks ago. The reason I thought the Mets would start to pull away a little bit, and again, I never said that the Mets were going to, take a 9-game lead on the Braves, but I did say where that final series of the season against the Braves I didn't think would mean a ton just because of the fact that I thought the Mets would pull away playing these bad teams. Well, that hasn't happened. Losing to the Nationals 2-3, losing the first game against the Pirates. That hasn't happened. So Yankees, Mets both look to right the ship, and Yankees try to find a way to continue a little bit of their 2-game win streak they're on. Obviously, Rizzo going on the IL, so some tough injury news out of Yankee land. So Yankees, Mets today, a lot of action, 4 games. Obviously, no need to no complaints about not enough baseball on. You got 4 games today, Yankees 2, Mets 2 as well. So let's open things up for the topics. So we're going to start today. It's going to be a big football day. Got a lot of football stuff. Tomorrow is football. Friday is football. Sunday is football. Saturday is football. So there's a lot of football. It's that time of year. It's September 7th. We are now 5 days away from the start of the first Sunday in the NFL. 5 days away from Jets-Ravens MetLife Stadium. We know who the quarterback is going to be. And tomorrow, we're 1 day away, or not even a day away now. Tomorrow's it. Tomorrow's Rams, Bills to get the 2022 NFL season started. I'm super fired up. Hopefully you are as well. But let's get into the topic. So we're going to start off today, AFC West. So today is going to start our AFC West projections. So I did the AFC East, NFC East, AFC South, NFC South, I did the AFC North, NFC North, AFC South, NFC South. Today we wrap up the AFC. I got 3 teams coming out of the AFC West. I think it's going to be a little surprising. I got a little bit of a shock in the AFC West. I got 3 teams coming out of it, and I got 1 team missing it, and the team that's missing the postseason, I have finishing 9-8. That's how strong this division's going to be. The last place team's going to be above 500. That's how I see it. So I have the AFC West today. Tomorrow will be NFC West, and we'll finish it off. So AFC West projections today as we finish out the AFC and finish up the 7 teams making the postseason. Right now, it's the Bills, it's the Bengals, it's the Ravens, that's 3, and then it's the Colts. And I got 3 teams coming out of the AFC West. So we'll get to the projections today. My second topic, it was going to be about the Mets' struggles, but I figure they're winning right now. And I know that's not the solve of everything, but I figure there's big news out of Jetland, and that's Zach Wilson's not going to be playing week 1. It is officially going to be Joe Flacco. And there's a little bit of more puzzling news that comes with that. Wilson's going to be out until week 4, which is interesting considering there was a possibility of him playing this week, and now he's out until week 4. So it's definitely interesting. I'll get into it. I'm going to tell you why this isn't necessarily a bad thing, that they want him to be 100%, but it does make you wonder, has Wilson suffered maybe a setback, or is there something that the Jets know that we don't in this injury situation, because we've seen this time and time again, where we saw it with, Mekhi Becton, where they said it wasn't anything major. You hear Zach Wilson and you kind of hear it's major, and it's not anything major. It's like the Jets have kind of struggled with these injury things, where you hear one thing and then the guy's out for the next forever, and they kind of don't, they kind of mess up the injury. So again, I think this is just the Jets and Saleh making sure that Wilson's 100%. He mentioned today mentally as well, confidence as well. And I think it's also they want him to have as much practice under his belt. I'd assume that's the case, but it does raise some questions about, is this true? Is it the Jets trying to hide something? What's going on here? So we'll get into that, and we'll finish off the New York Sports Update. Don't need to mention much. 4 baseball games on today: Yankees, Mets, Yankees, Twins, Mets, Pirates, all that good stuff. So a lot on tap today. All right. So with all that being said, this is the BSN podcast, and let's get into it. So today I'm going to finish out the AFC. Tomorrow I'll finish out the NFC, and that will conclude my predictions for this year. I really enjoy doing this. I definitely will plan on doing it again next year. Obviously, I started this last Tuesday. It is now Wednesday, so we're going to get to the AFC West today. Again, I mentioned my 4 playoff teams right now in the AFC are the Jets, or not the Jets, I'm sorry. I'd love to see the Jets in it, but it's the Bills, it's the Ravens, it's the Bengals, it's the Colts. So I have 3 teams coming out of the AFC West, and in the NFC, well, I got 5 teams right now. It's the Cowboys, it's the Eagles, it's the Vikings, Packers, and Buccaneers. Tomorrow, I got 2 teams coming out of the NFC West. So we'll get to that tomorrow. We'll finish things out here today with the AFC West today. Tomorrow, we'll finish out the NFC, and that will close the predictions for the year. All right, so let's get into it. So my AFC West predictions and projected standings. So last year, the standings went like this. So the Chiefs finishing first at 12-5. The Raiders finished in second at 10-7. The Chargers finished in third at 9-8. And the Broncos finished in last at 7-10. So you had 2 playoff teams last year. It was the Chiefs and the Raiders. Chiefs got in obviously at 12-5, ended up losing to the Bengals in the divisional round, and actually not the divisional round, the championship round rather. And the Raiders lost to the Bengals in the wild card round. Chargers, Broncos did not make it. So this is obviously the most talented division in all football. Derek Carr, Patrick Mahomes, Justin Herbert, Russell Wilson are the 4 quarterbacks in his division. And I'll tell you this, my team that I have finishing last place isn't so much because of a lack of talent. I do think the quarterback I have a little bit of concern with the quarterback that's finishing last, and I'll tell you why in a second when I get to last place. But this is one of these divisions that it was tough. It was tough to figure out who's going to make it. Figuring out, who's going to make it, who's not, records. I mean, again, if any of these teams are in any other division, they run away with it. The fact that this division is so talented and so tough and physical and just so much offensive talent specifically, this division is going to be fun to watch. And this is what makes the AFC so hard, because you're going to have 3 teams, I think, coming out of this division. And then you got to find a way to have 4 teams in the next 3 divisions. So that's how I see this division panning out. It's crazy to think, but I have 6 teams coming out of I have 5 teams coming out of the AFC North and the AFC West, leaving the AFC South and the AFC East. You could say this. Your best teams are probably 3 of them in the AFC West. There's 1 of them in the AFC East, and there's 2 of them in the AFC North. Now, and then it's 1 team from the AFC South. That's what makes the AFC so tough. Is you can just about match kind of up, and you could just about think off the top of your head, 6 playoff teams, and you need 1 more, and that 1 more is coming from the AFC South because they're obviously going to take a division winner. That's how tough the AFC is, and it's a big reason because of this division. So last year there was 2 playoff teams. Again, I think this year there's 3. Let's get into it. First place, I have the Chargers. Okay, your first surprise. And again, you're going to be surprised today. I think there's a lot of people out there that, are going to watch this video, and I think there are a lot of people are going to be surprised with the way I did this, who I have in, who I have missing, all that stuff. I have the Chargers finishing it first. Look, you know how I am on Justin Herbert. I really like him. He's a phenomenal player. They have so much talent. They're young. They got a good mix, a little bit of young, a little bit of youth. I mean, they got Austin Eckler, who's primed for a very, very big season. You're obviously led by Justin Herbert. Last year, they just missed the postseason, and they finished 9-8, finished in third. And again, they barely missed the postseason. They got a very, solid coach, Staley. You feel confident with where they're at. You feel confident with, their head coach and, their coaching staff. And, that they're a very talented team. And again, I look at all these teams, and you look at Kansas City, you look at Vegas, and you look at Denver. Out of the three teams, San Diego, they're young, they're developing, and they're kind of like they're getting better as it going. I know you could look at Vegas and say they're the most improved team in this division with the acquisition of Davante Adams, but this is a young team that continues to get better. You have Justin Herbert, Austin Eckler. You have a very good offensive line headlined by Rashawn Slater, obviously. The young tackle coming out of, what was it? I think was it Northwestern, I think, or whatever it was. The young tackle, the guy that's still early in his career. Austin Eckler, Keenan Allen, Mike Williams, even Joshua Palmer as your third receiver. This is just a very, very talented football team. And the one big thing with this football team has been closing out games. And their one big question is their defense. Well, they went out and made moves on defense. They brought in Khalil Mack. They added that to a defense that includes J.C. Jackson, who I know might not play. He's dealing with a little bit of an injury. But J.C. Jackson, Derwin James, Asante Samuel Jr., and Joey Bosa. I mean, this is a very, very talented defense. Again, you might look at it and say it's all right, but they added, Khalil Mack. When Bosa's healthy, the big question is Derwin James, can he stay healthy? If he's healthy, Asante Samuel Jr., all those guys, a very good secondary, and they have a pass rush, and they have a secondary. One of the more underrated defense, I think, in all football. I think a lot of people look at this Chargers defense and say, it's all right, it's not great. Khalil Mack, who I know he's not the player he once was, but a lot of teams would still take a Khalil Mack. A lot of teams, I'm sure, would still take a pass rusher like him. Joey Bosa, who's in the prime of his career. Derwin James, who just got a massive contract extension, one of the best safeties in all football. Asante Samuel, who's got a ton of talent, young, and such a bright future. And J.C. Jackson, who's been around for a little bit and a very good player. A lot of talent on this defense, especially in the secondary. And when you play in a division, and this is one of the big things I think, too, with the Chargers. When you play in a division where Davante Adams is in the division, Travis Kelce's in the division, Patrick Mahomes is in the division, Derek Carr's in the division, Jerry Jeudy, Cortland Sutton, Russell Wilson are in the division. You need to have a competent defense. You need to have, most important, a competent secondary, or else you're going to get toasted week in and week out when you got to play other teams in your division. Davante Adams is going to destroy you. Darren Waller's going to destroy you. Travis Kelce's going to destroy you. Jerry Jeudy's going to destroy you if you don't have a secondary. Chargers, I think, have probably the best secondary in the AFC West and one of the more under-the-radar defenses in all football. I like the Chargers a lot. You know how I feel about Justin Herbert. I think he's one of the best quarterbacks in football. He's going to be in the MVP conversation this season. I think, give me the Chargers finishing in first place. I have their floor at 9-8. It could be 10-7 again. I think this team's going to be good. I don't think they're going to be that bad. I think the worst case, their floor is 9-8, and they find themselves fighting for a playoff spot the final couple weeks of the season. But I think this is going to be a team that's going to be a really good team. Their ceiling, I think, is 14-3. Again, this is a talented football team. I mean, you have everything this team you want. You have a good, Gerald Everett. You got a good tight end. You got two very good receivers. You got a very good running back. You got a quarterback that's young, and he's your building block. You also got a good offensive line, and you got a solid defense. This team checks almost every box, and they only can continue to get better because they're young. So they're just going to develop, and they're going to continue to grow just like Justin Herbert has. So give me the Chargers finishing in first. Like I mentioned, 9-8 is their floor, ceiling 14-3. I have their record at 13-4, and the Chargers finishing first. My second place team is the Kansas City Chiefs. My biggest thing is they lost Tyreek Hill. That's my biggest thing. If Tyreek Hill was still on the Chiefs, and I know one player doesn't make up everything, but it does make a big difference when Patrick Mahomes has to throw to Tyreek Hill and then also now has to throw to a guy like a Sky Moore and rely on Sky Moore and Travis Kelce, who a lot of teams are going to be heavily covering him. So now your number one receiver in Kansas City is Juju Smith-Schuster. That's a question mark. Marquez Valdez-Scantling. And what is, McCole Hardman? And then what is Sky Moore? Sky Moore is a big piece of this offense because if Sky Moore's not good, I think the Chiefs are relying on him to hopefully turn into another number one receiver for Mahomes. He's a big piece. When you look at the receiving core, the reason why I still think Kansas City is going to be very good and still finish in second, you did remove one very big piece from their offense, but you still have Kelsey, you still have Hilaire, and oh yeah, you still got Patrick Mahomes. So they're not going to, I know some people out there say, oh, they struggled a little bit last year. They went 12-5 and were the AFC Championship game. They struggled to start the season. I get all that. They're a good team. As long as Patrick Mahomes, the quarterback, and as long as he plays at the level that Chiefs expect him to play at and what he's been playing at his entire career, and that is MVP, Pro Bowl, one of the best quarterbacks in all football level, they're going to be a very good team. And I see that again this year. And again, Patrick Mahomes, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, Travis Kelce, you still have some solid pieces. And again, the receiving core is not great. Valdez-Scantling's all right. Juju Smith-Schuster I'm really worried about. I don't think he's very good. Sky Moore's got some potential. And, McCole Hardman's, he's been with Brandon Brown, been around, got a little bit of connection with, it's not phenomenal. But again, Patrick Mahomes, he'll make it work. And he said something about fantasy football. He said, I'm going to spread the ball out. And I think you're going to see a lot of that this year. I think you're going to see a lot of, getting it to Juju, spreading the ball out. He was heavily relying on Tyreek Hill throughout his career, rightfully so. Now he's out of the equation. Travis Kelce is going to get covered a lot. He's going to get covered a lot. And you're going to have to rely on him a lot. So he's going to spread the ball out. Travis Kelce is going to be a very big focus too, especially in opposing defenses. The reason I don't have Kansas City because again, you're missing Tyreek Hill. I mean, that's such a big piece taken out of the roster. And another thing, Kansas City defense still concerns me a little bit. It still concerns me a little bit. But I do like Chris Jones a lot. I think, Frank Clark has had a solid career, has put together a nice career. I know some people like, Justin Reed and all that. They have some pieces. Not phenomenal, but they've made it work. And again, Patrick Mahomes is your quarterback. You're going to win games as long as he's playing at a high level, and I expect him to do that again this year. So my floor for the Chiefs is 7-10. That's the floor. It could be 8-9. I'm going with 7-10. The reason I have it at 7-10 is because, again, I think out of all the teams on this list, the Chiefs have the lowest floor. And I'll tell you why. Again, I don't think it's going to happen. I think they're a second-place team in this division. But I think there is a chance if Sky Moore doesn't play well, if McCole Hardman doesn't play well, if Juju Smith-Schuster, all he's good for is dancing on these other team logos, making TikTok dances, if he doesn't do well, and Marquez Valdez-Scantling doesn't do well, and Travis Kelce's getting covered basically every single game, double team, there could be an issue with this roster. There could be. Because then Patrick Mahomes has got nobody to go to. So that's where I see their floor. I think they have the lowest floor because they have the most potential to really struggle this season. And I say that because of their receiving core. I think it's probably the worst in the division. But they got the best quarterback, or one of the best quarterbacks in the division. I think Herbert's getting up there. I think, Mahomes is the best quarterback in the division right now, but Herbert a couple years from now might be very well could be in the same conversation. It's a possibility this year he puts himself in the top 5 conversation. That's a real possibility, I think. I mean, he's been phenomenal in his career. He's making a big jump. He's only getting better. But that's why I think they're going to be up there. Best quarterback in football and best quarterback in the division. So that's why I don't think they'll hit their floor, but it's definitely something to keep your eye out. Ceiling 13-4. I mean, look, this team has, if Mahomes if Mahomes finds a connection with McCole Hardman and Travis Kelce's open all the time, they're going to win a ton of games. But I have their record at 11-6, and I have them finishing in second in the AFC West. In third place, this is where a lot of people will disagree with me. I don't really know why, in a way, because I do think I definitely think it's. I don't think this is crazy to say, but in third place, I have the Las Vegas Raiders, and I'll tell you why. I talk about this a lot over the past week when I've done these standings, where teams, the teams that have improved and the teams that haven't improved. The Raiders are one of the most improved football teams in all the league. And I say that because they acquired Devontae Adams. This Raider team over the past couple seasons really never had that true number one threat. And Derek Carr kind of worked with it. He was able to, make it work, make it work, do the right things, spread the ball out, all that stuff. He's got Devontae Adams. I mean, Devontae Adams is he is the best receiver in this division. And he's only going, and Darren Waller is probably the second best. You can make the argument he's the second best tight end, third best tight end in all football. You can make the argument it's him or Kelsey. They have probably the second best tight end in the division. They have the best receiver in the division. They have one of the better, I would say probably the second or third best running back in the division. And those are all better than the Broncos, I mean, in terms of what I'm saying. Like, the second best tight end, if anything, it's Kelsey the best. He's on Kansas City. Second best running back, if anything, Austin Eckler beats Josh Jacobs, which, not if anything, he does. You can make the argument Elaire is better. That's a conversation for a different day. And they got the best receiver in the division. I like Keenan Allen a lot. I think he's a very good receiver. But Devontae Adams is a top 3 receiver in football. It's him, Diggs, and Jefferson, Chase. You can make the argument for a couple other guys. He's one of the best receivers in all football. And they added that. So that's what I like so much about this team. When you talk about improvement, when you talk about getting better, they got better. And again, I know you could say, oh, well, they got Russell Wilson. Tim Patrick went down. Their tight end situation's interesting now in Denver. The Las Vegas has got a phenomenal tight end. They've got a competent defense. They got a new head coach who, by the way, Mike McDaniel, he's a guy that struggled his first time around, but learned from it, and now he's got a second opportunity. I mean, look what Derek Carr's been able to do without a legit number 1 receiver. Add Devontae Adams to the mix. I think Derek Carr's a better quarterback than Russell Wilson right now. I think last year Russell Wilson showed a little bit of signs slowing down, and Russell Wilson does not nearly have the weapons around him as Derek Carr does. And I like Jerry Jeudy and Cortland Sutton, but they're not Devontae Adams and Darren Waller. I mean, Tim Patrick's done for the year. They don't have a tight end. They have Raiders have a tight end. They have a legit running back. I mean, Javonte Williams, I know people have high expectations for, but Josh Jacobs is a proven solid running back in this league. I think when you compare the rosters, the Raiders are more talented. I really think that. I know the Broncos have some very good pieces on defense. Bradley Chubb, Justin Simmons. But, I mean, the Raiders do as well. Max Crosby, Chandler Jones. They got a couple pieces. Jonathan Abrams, not bad. They got a couple pieces. Denzel Perryman. They got pieces too. Maybe not as young and as exciting, as energetic as the Broncos, but they're veteran guys. They're proven players. So I think the Raiders finish in third, and that would leave the Broncos to be in last. And I think I saw a little bit last year of Russell Wilson slowing down. When you look at the numbers, I saw a little bit of him slowing down. And again, that might just be the fact that he was frustrated with the offense in Seattle. You hear the rumors of maybe a rift between him and Pete Carroll. That's all possible. But just from a fan perspective, what I saw last year just as a football fan, I saw a guy who slowed down a little bit when watching him, kind of struggled a little bit when watching him, missed the postseason in Seattle, and a guy that, it's like, it's like, yes, that's definitely possible that it could have just been in Seattle, but his age is going up. And again, he passed the eye test and the stats. You look at the eye test, Russell Wilson didn't look that good last year. You look at the numbers, there was a lot of career lows last year when you looked at his numbers. And I know he missed a handful of games and all that stuff, but still. So I think the Raiders finish in third. I like their roster a lot. I think McDaniel is a second-time head coach, learned a lot from his first run in Denver where it was a complete mess. Went on Belichick's staff, which I know Belichick does not, his coaching tree is not very good. Joe Judge, wink, wink. New York sports fans out there, that all too well. Right? He hasn't, but he learned from his first time, and he's also got I don't exactly know what the roster was, back in 2011, 2012 when he was with the Broncos, but I'd assume he's got a better roster he's working with. And again, Derek Carr is another guy too. Again, Derek Carr is a guy that has always never really had that number 1 receiver. He's never really had it. I mean, I guess you could say maybe Amari Cooper, but that was for a short time. He since then, he never really had that number 1 guy. I know Darren Waller as a tight end, but he never had that number 1 receiver. I mean, I know Hunter Renfro's solid and but still, now he has that number 1 receiver. And they played together in college. Right? They know each other very well. They already have some chemistry. I think there's a lot more upside with this Raiders team than there is with this Broncos team. And I'll tell you this, I like the Broncos defense a lot more than I like their offense. I do. Because I think their defense has been the mainstay. The big thing with me is Tim Patrick getting hurt was a big blow for them. And, they also lost Noah Fant, too, in the offseason. And that was a tough blow, obviously, for them. And I know they got rid of Drew Lock, but Noah Fant was a solid tight end. So they're now going to have to rely on some other guys. I mean, I don't know. I really like this Raiders offense, the Raiders defense as well. I mean, I think, again, a little bit of the advantage would, I would tell you this. Who has the better defense is probably Denver. Who has the better offense? It's the Raiders. But again, the Raiders have so many weapons on offense, I just don't know if Denver's going to be able to stop that. I just don't. When you really think about it in game, who's the better team? Well, yeah, they might have the better defense, but look at the Raiders' weapons on offense. I mean, look at them. Devontae Adams, Hunter Renfrow, Darren Waller. Don't sleep on Hunter Renfrow. He's a solid receiver. And we all know what Devontae Adams is, and Darren Waller's a top 3 tight end in football. So I think the Raiders are just a more talented team. I think they're a team that's just going to kind of take off this year. And when you look at truly who got better, Vegas got better. I know that you could look at Denver and say, yeah, they got Russell Wilson. Well, they lost Tim Patrick. They lost Noah Fant. Their defense is good, yes, but look at the Raiders. They already had Josh Jacobs. They already had Darren Waller. They already had Hunter Renfrow. They add Devontae Adams. I mean, I'm not sitting here and saying, oh, they added Juju Smith-Schuster or, they added a 4th-round receiver. They added one of the best receivers in all of football. They added Devontae Adams. I mean, this isn't some guy that just they picked up off the side of the street, had a good camp, and there's high expectations. No, I mean, this is a proven receiver who year in and year out puts up big numbers. Derek Carr hasn't had that in forever, really dating back, you could say, since Amari Cooper, all them. Now he has that. Now he could take off. So I think you're going to see a lot more of that out of Derek Carr this year. So Raiders, I have finishing at 8-9 as their floor. Their ceiling being 13-4. My prediction 10-7. Broncos floor is 8-9. Could be 7-10. I also Raiders. I could see them at 11-6, which would create an interesting tiebreaker situation with them in Kansas City. But I'm gonna roll with the Raiders at 10-7. I'm gonna say the Broncos floor is 8-9. Could be 7-10, but I'm gonna say 8-9. Ceiling 12-5, and their record's gonna be 9-8. So Chargers, I have finishing in first at 13-4. Chiefs, I have finishing in second at 11-6. Raiders, I have finishing in third at 10-7. And the Broncos, last place team, but I still got them over 500 at 9-8 on the season. And, Broncos will miss another year of the postseason, I think. So it'll be Chargers, Chiefs, Raiders. So playoff teams, Chargers, Chiefs, Raiders will make the playoffs. And now in the AFC as a whole, it's going to be the Bills. I think this is the playoffs. These are 7 teams getting into the postseason, I think. Bills, Bengals, Ravens, Colts, Chargers, Chiefs, Raiders. Those are your 7 teams. So those are your 7 teams. Tomorrow, I will wrap it up with the NFC West. Right now, I got 5 teams in the NFC. Eagles, Cowboys, Vikings, Packers, and the Buccaneers. Tomorrow out of the NFC West, I got 2 teams. Is it Seattle? Is it Arizona? Is it LA? Or is it San Francisco? So out of those 4 teams, 2 of them I think will make it in the NFC West. I'll do that tomorrow. So today wraps up the AFC. I mentioned my 7 playoff teams. Got the AFC West done. Tomorrow will be the NFC. We'll finish up the NFC, do the NFC West, and that will conclude the entirety of the predictions. And then I'll also do my power rankings tomorrow and get you ready for the Rams-Bills game. And then the day after, 2 days, is September 9th, will be my Friday, Football Friday. I'll give you my game picks, talk a little bit about Thursday night's game, get you ready for Jets-Giants. And, we go into the weekend with a lot of excitement in the air for football season. So looking forward to all that good stuff. So, again, Chargers in first at 13-4, Chiefs in second at 11-6, Raiders in third at 10-7, Broncos in last at 9-8. And those are your 3 teams coming out of the AFC West. Chargers, Chiefs, Raiders. And 7 playoff teams now in the AFC are set. And tomorrow we'll give you the NFC West and close it out. Alrighty, so that's what I got for the AFC and the predictions. A lot of fun doing that. This was my first ever year doing it. I definitely do it again. Really, really, really enjoyed that. A lot of fun. So I'll definitely do that again. I know it's a whole year from now. We got to enjoy this football season, but definitely something I plan on. And obviously tomorrow I still got the NFC West tomorrow, but with the AFC winding down here. So I definitely enjoyed that. Comment down below if you like that segment. Well, I should really be saying this tomorrow because I still got one more to do tomorrow. But I'd still like to hear because it was my first year really doing this. I mean, years past, you kind of predict and you think, but I never really got into this deep. So I definitely like doing this and enjoyed it. And tomorrow we'll wrap it up with the NFC West. Alrighty, so now we got to get to some other football here, and we get to the New York Jets as they get ready 5 days away from playing the new, or not, where are we? Are we 5 days or are we 4 days? No, we're 4 days away. Yeah, we're 4 days away, right, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, 4 days away from Jets football. So 4 days away from the first Sunday, 1 day, or tomorrow I should say, is the first game, Rams-Bills. Which should be a lot of fun, that being in LA, SoFi Stadium. Looking forward to that. But today we got news, and it's kind of been the big story all week around the New York Jets, and a little bit too around football. Who was going to start for the New York Jets week 1? Was it going to be Joe Flacco? Was it going to be Zach Wilson? Was it going to be Chris Streveler? I'm just kidding. Chris Streveler never was going to start. But the big question was it going to be Joe Flacco or Zach Wilson? And obviously Zach Wilson going down in the first preseason game against the Eagles, on the scramble that he had, cut up field, tore his meniscus, needed to have a minor surgery, 2 to 4 weeks. People said possibility of week 1, and really kind of give you a timeline. People said some, possibility of week 1. You get closer and closer. It didn't seem likely. And then Saleh comes on Monday and says, he went through a workout. We'll see how he feels tomorrow. We'll make a decision on Wednesday. He might be able to play. Yesterday, he goes through another workout, feels good. Saleh comes on today. Well, really, Ian Rappaport was the first to break the news. And you hear that Zach Wilson's out week 1. And that part of it didn't catch me or any of the other Jet fans, I think, by surprise. Maybe a little bit. Because maybe some people, I think, got a little hyped up and anticipated to the possibility of Zach Wilson playing week 1. But what really surprised me was, and again, this could have just been maybe a little bit of like gamesmanship or a little bit of trying to, teasing from Robert Saleh to try to, mess up Baltimore a little bit so then they kind of have to prepare for 2 quarterbacks instead of 1. But that theory kind of gets blown out the window because Saleh said today now that Zach Wilson's out for the next 3 weeks, and will be ready at earliest by week 4 against Pittsburgh. So now Browns and the Bengals both know who to prepare for. So it would definitely be interesting if Saleh kind of waited it out for the first couple weeks of the season because it does genuinely give you a little bit of advantage. I mean, who knows how much? I mean, if a team picks you up and, or if a team, is trying to, it's a, I mean, it depends on the situation, I should say. Because if it's 2 different quarterbacks, it's definitely a tough situation for a team to prepare for. If you're talking about, Zach Wilson, Joe Flacco are 2 different quarterbacks. If the Ravens defense was preparing for Flacco and then Wilson comes, well, they got to prepare for a guy that's much more mobile. If they were preparing for Wilson and now they're preparing for Flacco, well, they got to prepare for a guy that's a lot less mobile and maybe provide a little bit less, maybe less pressure, more coverage because he's not going to scramble much. Who knows who they're preparing for? I think a lot of teams kind of expected this out of Joe Flacco. I think the Ravens expected Joe Flacco to start. But either way, that's kind of besides the point. So you hear that Saleh says, and again, this is what I want to make clear. Saleh says Wilson's out week 1. And like I mentioned, I don't think that comes by a surprise by any of us Jet fans. I think we agree with it. I have no issue with it. Again, we'll get to the week 4 stuff in a second, but just the fact that he's not playing week 1, I have no issue with it. It's week 1. It's hyped up. I'm excited. You want to win, all that good stuff, but you don't want to throw your quarterback out there when he's not 100%, have a risk of him re-injuring it, and then having him done for the year when maybe it was just another week of rest you needed. Joe Flacco's a lot more veteran. I know it's a new defense with Wink Martindale not being there anymore. Now with the Giants, obviously the defensive coordinator under Dable's staff, obviously not there anymore in Baltimore with the defense not being as lethal, but it's still a very good defense. There's still a lot of pieces, a lot of guys in the secondary. The secondary stacked. I think one of the better secondaries in all football. Very good team. Chuck Clark, Humphrey, Peters, all those guys. A very good secondary in Baltimore. Also a nice solid pass rush, Calais Campbell, a couple pieces there as well. So you got a couple good pieces on that defense. So I think, too, the Jets thought process a little bit, it could have been, look, just put Flacco out there week 1 and then maybe put Flacco out there week 2 against a Browns opponent where they should not be very good this year. Jacoby Brissett's their quarterback. their defense has some pieces, but I don't know if it's as nearly as good as Baltimore's, especially the secondary outside of Denzel Ward, who has some health issues with the injury history and all that stuff. So you kind of think of that. And all this time, we kind of expected Wilson not to play. But the fact that you hear there's a possibility of him playing, he doesn't play, that's not much of a surprise. What came by a surprise today was when Saleh said, and he kind of used it as told the media to kind of stop with these Zach Wilson questions. He's out until week 4 against Pittsburgh, and that will be on the road. So he'll miss week 1 against Baltimore. He's going to miss week 2 on the road in Cleveland. He's going to miss week 3 at home. So if everything goes as planned, his first game will be week 4 in Pittsburgh, tough place to play against Mike Tomlin. That's going to be his first game. Although, you know how I feel about Pittsburgh. I think they're a 7-10 team this year. There's a good chance that's Kenny Pickett's first game, which could cause some growing pains for Kenny Pickett and the Steelers. It could also benefit the Steelers if he comes out with a lot of energy like Baker Mayfield did back in 2018 against the Jets on Thursday night, all that stuff. But it's definitely interesting because you go from the possibility of him playing week 1. You hear about these rehabs that he was doing over the past 2 days, the workouts that he was doing. And they said if his knee responded well, there's a good chance he'll play week 1, the possibility of that. And now hearing, he's out, that's one thing. But the whole, he's out now until week 4 is shocking. And it's definitely interesting. And I don't want to sit here and be a conspiracy theorist, but you do wonder, is this a setback? Is this just the Jets? And you hope that it's just the Jets and Robert Saleh, and this is the smart decision. You hope that it's just them being safe and them saying, we want him to be 100%, which Saleh said. He actually used the word 110%, and he brought up physically and mentally. I personally think, look, and the reason why us Jet fans bring this up is because the Jets, the history tells us they're going to mess up injuries. Like, history tells us they're going to say this guy's okay, and in a week later you hear, he's done for the year. Look at Becton. He was supposed to be a 6 to 8 week injury, missed the entire season. Comes back this year, injures it again. Was he even fully ready? Who even knows? Right? Not saying Zach Wilson's going down that same path. Remember, 2 different body types, 2 different people, 2 different positions, way different situations. But you do wonder, you hear it's a 2 to 4 week, to the possibility of him being ready for week 1. I think we all knew he wasn't going to play week 1. When Saleh says he's not playing week 1, and then you hear people say, then I think one of the guys asked, is it week to week? Was it Samini or somebody? And Saleh said he's out until at least week 4. It does make you think. And I do, deep down inside, I do believe it is just the Jets and Robert Saleh just being safe. And rightfully so. Again, this is your franchise quarterback. You're not talking about some guy or a backup on offense. You're not talking about your backup left tackle or your third string cornerback. You're talking about your starting quarterback in his second year, in which he was coming off of a knee injury last season, suffered another knee injury this year, needed surgery. You're talking about a prized possession. This isn't some just random player they're talking about here. You're talking about hopefully is your guy for the next 15, 20 years that's going to lead this team to great things. Right? So I like that they're doing that. I like that they're not rushing him back, but it does make you wonder how they went from the possibility of him not playing at all week 1, or possibly playing week 1, I should say, having workouts saying if the knee responds well, and then now all of a sudden it's like those workouts happen, he's out 4 weeks. So did the knee not respond well? What is the deal? It's interesting. It's definitely an interesting situation. And I hope that it's just, and I assume, and I think that it's just they want him to be ready. And I also look at it as, look, that was week 1 of training camp. I think they might use these next 3 weeks as like the 3 weeks he kind of missed in training camp. The 2-3 weeks that he missed in training camp, kind of use these 2-3 weeks as that training camp, put him in week 4, have that like his week 1, and move on from there, which I think is the path the Jets will go on. I don't think this is a setback, but it is a valid question to ask. It is a valid thing to think about, because he went from possibly playing week 1 to not playing at all. So it's interesting. It definitely is. I think this is just the Jets being safe. Again, I have no issue if they're being a little overcautious. I don't have any issue with that. I don't. You want to make sure he's healthy because the same people that are going to want him to be rushed back are going to be the same people that are going to be complaining and crying and punching holes through the wall if he would to get hurt again. So I don't have any issue, with him kind of staying out for a little bit. I don't. But it does make you wonder a little bit. Like, was this just Saleh trying to throw off the Ravens a little bit? Was it? Was it just Saleh was it truly put him through a workout? Maybe the Jets really just looked at that, saw that workout and really said, well, he's just not ready? What is it? Because it's weird to think that he was put through a workout this week and the decision was going to take until Wednesday. And then now it's like, out of the middle of nowhere, now he's not playing. It's interesting. So, I think and I hope that this is just them being overconfident or not overconfident, overcautious, and that this isn't a setback that they're not telling us about because we've been down that road with the Jets. But we'll see. So Flacco starts week 1, and this also means, since he's out until week 4, this also means there could be drama to start the year. Because if Flacco starts out 3-0 and the Jets are absolutely dominating and they're riding high going into Pittsburgh, what do you do? So that would definitely bring up that question there as well. So there's potential this year for there to be a little bit of drama-filled debating season for the Jets. If Flacco starts out 3-0 and he's raking and he's dominating, what do you do? That'd be funny. That'd be funny. I mean, I would give it to Wilson right now, and I'm saying that right now. But if we're 3-0, I don't know what I'd do. In the heat of the moment, I don't know what I'd do. So Flacco gets the start, and look, I think the Jets should feel lucky that Flacco is their backup quarterback. He's a proven veteran. He's won a Super Bowl. He's obviously not the Super Bowl winning quarterback that he once was, but he still won a Super Bowl. He's a proven veteran in this league. He's a guy that's going to go out there and be competent. He's a competent backup. It's not like you're rolling with Davis Webb or in past years like a Bryce Petty who was stunk, or some of those guys. Like in past years, the Jets backups were terrible. Bryce Petty. That was a really bad backup for the Jets. Who else? I mean, Josh McCown was like for Darnold. That was like a solid backup. Not that he got a ton of reps. He was in a couple games, but that was like a solid backup. A guy that was in the league. I think Flacco's maybe, I don't know. I mean, you got him at a little bit of different points of their career, but he's a competent backup. It's not like you're relying on a guy that's never played a game in the NFL to go out there and, he's a veteran. He was in with the Ravens. Not that it's not the same defense that Wink Martindale had, but he kind of knows the whole Harbaugh, what they're going to bring, all that stuff. He was with that team. He's with that coach, right? It was the Harbaugh brothers Super Bowl. Jim and John battling it out, obviously, at the Superdome, Ravens-Niners. So, all that stuff. So, you have a proven veteran. So, he knows a little bit, too, about the team that you're facing. And you should feel fine with him. Again, I think we all wanted to see Wilson out there. I think that would add a lot of energy into the game. I think it would also be a pleasant surprise, but the Jets are choosing the safe route, which everybody always says better be safe than sorry. If you put him out there week 1 and he hurts his knee again and it turns into a 6 to 8 week injury and he's done for the year, well, that's a problem because then you go into next offseason, no matter what the result is this year, with more questions than answers, and that's at quarterback. So Jets take the safe route. Zach Wilson not only out week 1, but out the first 3 weeks. It looks like he'll be ready to go week 4. And I know Saleh said, I think he said something like it's not going to change. There's a possibility. Maybe, if he feels really good, maybe it changes and he comes back week 3, or I don't think he's coming back next week. Maybe week 3. Hopefully it doesn't get elongated where he's coming back week 5, week 6. Hopefully that's not the case, but I guess we'll see how it all plays out. Kind of just got to roll with it and see how it plays out. Alrighty, so let's get into the New York sports update here and finish things off here today. We'll get to baseball. Rockies, Brewers, A's, Braves, Tigers, Angels, Dodgers, Giants, Mariners, White Sox, Rays, Red Sox, Phillies, Marlins, Orioles, Blue Jays, Cubs, Reds, Cardinals, Nationals, Royals, Guardians, Astros, Rangers, and Diamondbacks, Padres. Mets won game 1 of the doubleheader today, 5-1, and game 2 comes on at 6:35. Mets, Pirates. Mets come into this game 86 and 51. Pirates coming into this game 50-85. This is the rubber game of the 3-game set. Mets got Jacob deGrom on the mound. He's 4-1 with a 1.98 ERA. And the Pirates have Oviedo on the mound. He's 2-1 with a 2.86 ERA. Over-under set at 7 for this game. And as for the Yankees, they're currently losing 2-0 with 2 outs in the top of the 4th. And the second game today is at 6:35 p.m. Eastern, TBS. Yes, you can find it on. Joe Ryan's on the mound for the Twins, and he's 10-7 with a 3.88 ERA. Garrett Cole's on the mound for the Yankees. He's 10-7 with a 3.28 ERA. Over/under set at 6.5. And again, won't say the records for that game just because of the fact that we'll have a result of this game coming up, and we'll see how it all plays out. So it's gonna be interesting. Hopefully, Yankees can find a way to win. It's funny. This time tomorrow, I'll be talking a little bit about fantasy football, getting your lineups ready. Because a lot of people out there will have Bills, and that's the one thing. It's a popular Sunday night game or popular Thursday night game. A lot of people are going to have Bills and Rams players. Cooper Kupp, Stafford, Allen, Diggs, Singletary, Knox, who just signed a big extension. Not Keenan Allen. Apologize. A lot of guys. Cam Akers is a pretty popular one. A lot of people have Bills defense. So a lot of people out there are going to have a lot of fantasy players going tomorrow night. As for fantasy baseball, I am currently winning or losing or winning in my one league 106-80. Right now I've got Strider, Montgomery, Kopech, and Lauer on the mound. I added Kopech and dropped Gleyber Torres in my one league. So Kopech's healthy, although Lauer and Strider both have negative 4 points right now. And in my other league, I got Springs and Bailey Falter. Bassett got me 30 points today, so he also pitched. I'm currently losing 115-111. I had to put Scherzer on the IL. He is placed on the IL, so I picked up Bailey Falter, who's been pretty good. He faced against Miami tonight, so I'm rolling with him. So I got 3 pitchers on the mound there. Bassett already had a really good outing. So that's what I got there for the podcast. So another good podcast in the books as we hit 4 Eastern here. 4th inning in the Yankees-Twins game. So once I'm done with this, I'll turn on that, watch that, and then tomorrow night, football, baby. Football, Bills, Rams. Even I'm not even a Bills and a Rams fan. It just makes you excited. Like, you're still excited for the game. But you're really excited for Jets-Ravens. So 4 days away from the first Sunday. Tomorrow, we are now, we're 28 hours away from first football game, right? 28 hours away now, it looks like. Something like that, because it's 4 o'clock, 8. That's 24. Yeah, so 28 hours away from the first football game. And we're 4 days away. Tomorrow will be 3 days away from the first Sunday. And we're about 28 hours away from the first football game of the season. So, Bills-Rams, SoFi Stadium, LA. Should be good. So, tomorrow we'll finish up with tomorrow will be a very packed podcast. So, we'll finish up with the NFC West standings. Tomorrow, we'll give you the 2 teams I got coming out of there. We'll get you my power rankings. We'll get you Bills-Rams preview, get a little bit of fantasy. And then on Friday will be my Football Friday podcast. You know the drill if you've been here for a while. I'll give you my game picks and get you ready, along with my game pick for tomorrow as well. But on Friday, I'll get you my game picks and get you ready for the first full weekend of football, NFL football on Sunday, and all that good stuff. So really looking forward to it, and football season's upon us. So that will do it. As always, hope see you all back here tomorrow. Hope you enjoyed it, and thanks for watching.